Hello, my fellow monster fans. I decided that, kind of off the cuff, to do a little monster video because we are currently in the year of our Lord Godzilla vs. King Kong. It is debuting today. I have plans to watch it later, but it occurred to me that I haven't put anything out for this. This is kind of a big deal. You know, Godzilla vs. Kong was not a thing that I thought was ever going to happen, but here we are. Especially during a pandemic. And in the past, I've done Godzilla retrospective videos because I'm a huge Godzilla fan, like almost to the point of it being annoying. When I was a kid, I actually had to, we had a temporary ban on Godzilla movies in the house because they were just on constantly. And I remember all the details about it. So I'm here in my Godzuki shirt, and I thought we would do a little tier making. Up at the top, we have, the best of the best, the smokin' sexy Super Saiyan style. In place of the A, we have the new hotness. And then for our B tier, we have Shotos, which is just a fighting game term for, like, general, all-around, good, no real problems, nothing really spectacular, kind of middle of the road. And then in place of the C ranks, we have, hey, I remember you, because they're, there are just going to be some of those monsters that it's like, I know you're a thing, but there's nothing really that outlandish about it. Taking the place of the D rank, we have the old and busted. We got the new hotness and the old and busted. Old busted, new hotness. And then for the F ranks, we have short, shriveled, and always to the left. Because I am a child. By the way, this has no real rhyme or reason. This is purely just my personal choices. We're just going to go with what I feel is right. We'll go by, the suit, the utility, their accomplishments, their impact on the world, lots of things. Just going to kind of break down, but it will just ultimately be personal. So we got here the old school, black and white, 1950s Gogeta. Obviously, the one that started it all. Definitely was a villain in his origins. We're probably just going to start off strong and just have him in Shotos because there's nothing. He is not obviously like top tier, but we gotta respect the origins, the roots of where it all started. And then we have the Showa era Godzilla, where Godzilla kind of flip-flopped between being like a bad guy, but also being like a Captain Planet style superhero. A good chunk of the movies fall under this era. This is probably the Godzilla suit that you see if you were to just randomly like spin a wheel and watch a Godzilla movie. There's a fair like 50 to 60% chance you'd end up with one of these movies. Only a lot of wins under his belts also. It's also the one that I, as a child, am the most familiar with, so he resonates strongly with me. And I may rearrange these as we go also. I reserve the right to rearrange things if I see fit. I'm going to put him in Shotos, but I'm going to put him above the original OG Godzilla. And then we have, I believe, the Heisei era Godzilla. Definitely a little bit more, less human features. His eyes are not big and Disney like, the last one was. More of a monster, less personality. Let's put new hotness, because he, just through sheer intimidation factor, is a lot more memorable than the other two. I always kind of classified this as the Heisei era also. It's just a different designed suit. And I actually am not as big a fan of this suit. I think it looks a little too plasticky. I think it looks too much like a toy, like a really big toy. Almost too refined, right? Like, you don't want your Godzilla to look too clean. He's gotta be a little gussied up. Now here, this is an interesting choice because this is not actually a Godzilla at all. I'm not sure why he's in here, but he did fight Godzilla. He did fight Godzilla in Godzilla Final Wars for like 8 seconds, and then he got annihilated. So, because, well, that's the only movie he's in, right? The only true Godzilla movie that he's in is in that one. No, but all kidding aside, the Matthew Broderick TriStar Godzilla is a dark era in the in the Godzilla compendium, because if you just called him something else, then he's any other monster. I mean, that joke I just made was kind of half true. If you just think of him as a run-of-the-mill whatever monster, then it's fine. But because they insist on calling him Godzilla, he's got to go in short, shriveled, and always to the left. Because he is a walking taint. He doesn't even breathe fire, and the military takes him down. That immediately disqualifies him as being a good kaiju. Now we have Millennium era Godzilla. This was... I remember seeing him for the first time in Godzilla 2000, and honestly, I was like, we're never gonna see this Godzilla ever again. Like, just something about him, I was kind of like, this feels like a one-off. It was such a... They made him in a response to the Matthew Broderick Godzilla to try and like, rinse out the filth that was that movie. And it kind of shows in his design. It's trying a little too hard. Tries a little too hard, a little too scaly, and he always looks moist. He always looks wet, for some reason, even when he's not near the water. So let's have him as Hey, I Remember You. And now I don't know what era to call this Godzilla. This Godzilla was definitely more restrained. Some more creative choices were made. This was when they kind of rewrote his origin story from being a monster born from nuclear energy, and instead they made it that he was the reincarnated spirit of vengeful World War II Japanese officers that were abandoned, like, mid-war, and, like... God damn, you don't have to go that hard. Not only is that super creative and really dark, and, like, it's reflective in his character design, too. He's got much beefier arms than we're used to seeing in Godzilla. His eyes are all white. It's definitely... He has a lot of sharp angles to him, but not so much that he looks like the Millennium Godzilla, where it's just a walking switchblade. I would put him in the new hotness. I like my Godzilla a little scarier. A little bit scarier. And speaking of a scarier Godzilla, we have Shin Godzilla, who should not be as good as he is, but he is. And that's going to be our first smoking, sexy, saucy, slick Super Saiyan style. Because this guy, he's just, look at him. He looks like he would shank you. He looks like he has a disease. Like, he looks awful, but in a good way. A lot of creative choices with him too. Like, if you haven't seen Shin Godzilla, it's not your typical monster movie. It's not a crowd-pleasing movie. Like, the first half of the movie is just politicians running around trying to figure out what they should politically do about the monster, and meanwhile it keeps cutting back to the monster destroying the city and people dying. So it's definitely not a put on the popcorn and get some drinks ready and make a drinking game out of it. It's a much more serious movie, which there's two fields of thought on that, right? There's two trains of thought on how you like your Godzilla. Do you want him to be a goofy, make sure to drink your milk, kids, like, drink your Ovaltine, like, superhero, or do you want him to be with, like, a message and, like, have some weight to it? I like the latter. I respect the former, and sometimes you do just want to watch a goofy, badly dubbed monster movie. There's absolutely a place for that, but that's not what's going to get you in the smoking, sexy, saucy style. Next is the anime Godzilla, which, honestly, I never saw the animes. Because I have not seen it, I don't want to say anything about it. The legendary Godzilla. A lot of design elements I like. Definitely scary. Doesn't have much of a personality, but I like that he's like a grappler. Like, he's a chunky monster. I would probably put him in... I don't know if he's new hotness or if he's a Shoto, like a high Shoto. If you should, like, go, like, right here or in new hotness. Just because, like, he technically is the new hotness. You know what? Let's put him in Shotos for now. I'm actually going to put him below, because he's not quite as iconic as the Showa era Godzilla. And he's not quite... He hasn't quite built up the reputation of the new hotness either. But lots of stuff to like. Lots of stuff to like with new Godzilla. I like him. Okay, and now we have, like, all in a row, just Rodans across the board. And I'm just going to go ahead and put all of Rodan. Rodan is the Sigourney Weaver from Galaxy Quest, where, like, you have one job. It sucks, and it's stupid, but here's the thing. He is good at that job. His one job is to be a pterodactyl in the Godzilla series. And to his credit, he's good at being a pterodactyl. And I'm actually going to take the legendary... the one from Godzilla King of the Monsters, I'm actually going to put him in Shotos. Purely based on just his presentation, and he has a sharper... that's probably his best design. And the way he's introduced, the size and the scope. Like, again, the presentation of him in King of the Monsters is really strong. So that bumps him up into Shotos. On the lower end, but he's in the Shoto era. And now, okay, so now we have Mothra. Mothra is interesting because, like Rodan, she only has one... Or, I'm sorry, unlike Rodan, she actually has two jobs. On top of being a flyer type enemy, she also literally has a job description of being the guardian of Earth. She's the protector of Earth. So she has a little bit more responsibility than Rodan does. But on the flip side of things, she is worse at her job because she dies in every movie. Like... I'm honestly surprised when they were making King of the Monsters that they didn't just cast Sean Bean as Mothra, because every time she's going to be in a movie, it's guaranteed that she's going to die. I'm going to put... So what is better? To fail at two jobs and be ambitious, or to stick to just one job and do it fine, even though that job is, like, mediocre? Okay. Baby larva Mothra. Where do you go? Let's put the Mothras in the... I'm gonna put them above Rodan. I think it is better to aspire to multiple things. I know of this Mothra, but I have not seen the movies that they're in. Just on the rule that I set myself earlier, I'm gonna put them lower. I think it is better to aspire to multiple things and not do them as well than to just not have much motivation. Anguirus is Godzilla's best friend, except in the first time they met, it was a little bit of a rocky start to their friendship. My first instinct is to go in the, hey, I remember you. But also, like, I kind of want to put him in old and busted, because at this point, man, like... You gotta get a new shtick. His whole thing is just being like a armadillo ankylodon monster. Like kind of like a porcupine, but he's also like a bull. It definitely not in the same rank as the Shotos, but like I feel like old and busted is a little too harsh. I will, you know what, here's what we'll do. I'll put the Showa era, the one that's around the most, in the Hey, I Remember You. And I'm going to put him right above Mothra. And then these ones that have barely been shown up at all will be in the old and busted. Baragon is old and busted because, like, what are you even doing? There's no design here at all. It's just, it's like someone said, hey, draw me a monster. Okay, what kind? A monster. It's the most generic, bottom of the barrel, whatever thing. He has a horn in his face. Big deal. Shut up, everybody, because now we're going to talk about King Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, depending on how pretentious you are. OG Ghidorah is scary. It took a lot. He destroyed a lot, and it took a lot to put him down. I would put him higher on the Shoto list. And then the 90... Okay, so later when Ghidorah shows up, he's definitely cooler looking and better looking. The gold really helps. He's one of the few monsters I could describe as regal. The bat wings, the three heads, that sound is so iconic too. I don't know why he has two tails. That never made sense to me, but Let's put him up in A rank. Mecha King Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, only appeared in one movie. I always thought he ought to show up more often. But the only fight he was ever in, he tied. And maybe Tywin Lannister kind of alluded to wanting to construct this Mecha King Ghidorah at some point. But we don't know if that's ever actually going to happen. So how about Hey, I Remember You, and we'll put him... let's put him at the top, actually. I was not as big a fan of that Ghidorah, just because his wings looked weird and stubby. Because he was only in the one movie, I think the Hey, I Remember You seems fitting to me. I think I like that better. I feel better about this. Kaiser Ghidorah. Only had the one movie, just like this one, but you know what? Honestly, I gotta respect the approach to a different outlook on his design. And you know what? Let's actually... What feels right? Let's just hover over. What feels right here? Yeah, alright. Right there. That seems right. And then we have the legendary Studios Ghidorah. The Titan Ghidorah. Some good... honestly, this is probably the best Ghidorah's ever looked. Not just, like, design-wise. They've tightened up a lot of things on his design, but also, like, I think they got his size and his presentation pretty perfect. I'm gonna throw him up in the new hotness. He might... how does that look? I don't know. We'll throw him back here, just because of the bar that's been set by Shin Godzilla. Okay, now we're gonna get to some weird ones. Gigan was always a favorite of mine as a kid, but boy, like, you look at him now and it's just like, what is going on with your design, my man? Like, you got the from navel to nuts buzzsaw. He's got, like, bird talon feet. He's wearing bicycle knee pads. He has, like, Gillman flying things on his back. That does let him fly for some reason. His, like, weird second mouth on top of his beak mouth. He has a horrible win streak, too. He always partners with other monsters, and he always loses. In fact, he's kind of a coward. As much as I like him, or liked him as a kid, I think he's got to be old and busted. Above Baragon, because Baragon sucks, but I think he's old and busted by this point. Then we have Gigan again, but this is from Godzilla Final Wars. Honestly, a big improvement, which is weird because they kept all the weird elements in the base design, but the simple act of choosing new colors for him on top of little tweaks to his design actually do quite a bit for him. Even though he was only in the one movie and he lost, I think he ranks higher than old Gigan. But it's still Gigan, so maybe he's still old and busted, but just better. Or maybe, you know what? No. Space Godzilla is immediately short-shriveled and to the left, because Space Godzilla is ironically a waste of space. Like, so when they were making Mortal Kombat games, they had Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and they were like, hey, let's just do palette swaps when we make more characters. We'll just change the colors on them, and we can create and just call it something else, and bam, you got yourself a new character. Like, easy, cheap, effective way to create new characters with which to make marketing on. Space Godzilla feels like that idea should not have been applied to kaiju monsters, because he looks so... What is happening? There is so much going on. He looks ridiculous. No, this ain't it, honey. Then you have this snarling beast guy, and he's got a tissue in his hand. I don't know what this thing is, so I'm just gonna put him over here. I know what this thing is. I have seen it before, but his name escapes me. He's the kangaroo guy that, like, kicks hard. You, sir, are old and busted. Then you have Kamakris. Read about him a lot in the books, the Godzilla novelizations. And as I'm looking, like, Kumonga, the spider, probably just old and busted again. Ibira, Horror of the Deep, aka the seafood allergy monster. Run away, I might get hives. Short and shriveled. Varan, the guy that glides, it's a lizard, but he is a flying squirrel also? Rocky the Unbelievable? I don't know. Old and busted, he's dumb. Okay, I have some beef with this next one. Because Titanosaurus, he was only in one movie, and he was, like, discovered by a scientist who raves up and down, like, Titanosaurus is so sexy, I love it, it's so cool, it's the ultimate monster. And then you see it fight, and you're like, that's it? First of all, it's just a dinosaur. They literally just say, like, oh yeah, it's an extinct dinosaur that still lives. I'm like, that thing is huge. Very large dorsal fin. And it waves it back and forth to make, like, gust winds. And so, first of all, that's not how that works. Secondly, if that is how that works, it takes a while to build up. Like, the startup time on that move to really get the wind going, like, you're just turning your backside to the enemy. You, sir, are short and shriveled and to the left. King Caesar, the kitty cat stone monster. I always liked the idea of King Caesar more than King Caesar. He, like, you sing a song to him and he wakes up. And then he kicks ass for you. But the song you gotta sing to get his ass up is so ridiculously long. If I remember right, like, they cut back and forth between the monster destroying the city and killing, like, tons of people. And this girl on the beach is still singing to his ass, waiting to get him up. It's like, can you hurry this along just a little bit? There's, like, every second that passes, like, little Timmy is being squashed over and over again. Little Timmy's all across the city. And I like that he's, like, quick and vicious, and, you know, he's a kitty cat. So, I'm gonna do Shabam, and then new one can go in the Hey, I Remember You. He'll go above Rodan. No, actually, I'll just keep him right there. That's fine. Okay, the Mutos from the Godzilla reboot, the legendary Godzilla. Something about their design is both over the top and lazy at the same time, which is weird. I think it's because it's so sleek. You know, there's a lot of, it feels almost like a stealth cruiser, but like walking upright. Not that every monster has to be scaly or a robot or something with a lot of hard angles to it, but something about when it moves, because it looks so sleek, I'm like, it doesn't feel like skin or scales. It kind of just feels like a big rubber monster, which is weird. I like that that's like a race of them, right? That there's more than one, but that also kind of makes it less unique. So I'm going to put it in old and busted, but maybe above Gigan. All right, the Christmas tree monster, the beetle, Megalon. Boy, he's dumb looking. I cannot get over. I mean, at least I look at it and I can tell, like, yeah, it's a beetle, all right, and like it digs. I like that it kind of has a personality, though. Like, when you watch its movie, there's definitely some moments where you can tell, like, oh, he's pissed off. Oh, he's curious. Oh, he's confused. Like, he has a wide range of... There's one point where he literally turns around and slaps his ass at Godzilla to, like, taunt him. He also, if it was not for him, we would not have gotten the Godzilla dropkick. So... Is he old and busted, though? I'm tempted to. Because he's also not a very good fighter. He's only been in a movie. There are monsters with only one movie under their belt or something like that that have come back in some way, shape, or form, whether it's Caesar or Kaiju or Gigan with a redesign. There's probably a reason why Megalon has never come back. It's because he's old and busted. I want to put him above the Muto, though, just because he has an actual personality. Destroyah! And you gotta say it like that. Destroyah! Honestly, he might be up in the new hotness. First of all, he's one of the few that actually beats Godzilla in a straight-up one-on-one fight. He's got multiple forms. He has this weird... he starts out as, like, tiny, like microscopic sized, and then he grows into like human size, and then car size, and then tank size, and then building sized, and then oh god. So the metamorphosis aspect makes him really interesting. He's tough to beat. Yeah, I think he's new hotness. Might even be above old school Ghidorah and this Godzilla. Do I like this? No, I think I like this better. Batra. The Hot Topic version of Mothra. I don't know. We didn't really need Batra, to be honest. I'm gonna put it above these two clown shoes over here. Megagyros, or Megagyros, or Megagyros, or I've heard it all different ways. The origin story for him is really interesting because human beings are trying to think of new ways to fight Godzilla other than just shoot him with missiles and machine guns. So they invent like a gravity gun. And what ends up happening is it backfires and it ends up creating this thing. So interesting origin story. I would say that probably puts him in Hey, I Remember You. But like he's not really like a credible threat to the big G. Biollante. Personal favorite, also have a very distinct memory with Biollante because so Godzilla movies stopped coming out in theaters after a certain point in time. And, you know, me as a kid, like, I loved Godzilla movies, but I never got to see them in theater. I always just rented them. And when I heard that they weren't making... I didn't hear they weren't coming to theaters anymore. What I heard was they're not making them anymore. So, honestly, like, I was obviously devastated. But honestly, I was also like, well, now I can rent... Like, I've seen them all. I did it. I've become the Godzilla fan. And then I found out that the Heisei era of films were still being made. They just weren't coming to theatrical release. I was like, oh, that's cool, but I guess I gotta go to Japan to see them. Well, few things made me as happy in my entire life. Went to Hollywood Video one day and just checking where Godzilla was, not expecting anything different. And I saw Godzilla vs. Biollante, which is one of the ones that was not, like, I just assumed we were never going to get. Just sitting there. I could rent it, just like all the others. No extra anything. It was just there, waiting for me. I was honestly so excited. Like, I could not have ran to my dad. In fact, he had no idea what I was talking about, but, like, I had to rent it. For the kids in the audience, you used to have to go, you had to put your phone down and go out to your car and physically go places to rent movies. Wow, that was really pretentious, but I had to get that off my chest. That's honestly like one of my favorite. It was like finding treasure. It was me finding treasure. I was so excited. And it ended up coming back and biting me in the ass because I couldn't stop watching it. I was constantly like watching it and then putting it in the rewinder and then watching it and then putting it in the rewinder. And so Godzilla vs. Biollante was running constantly. My mom got so sick of listening to it in the background that she said, okay, give me the movie. Today is the day we bring it back, right? You're done with it. We have to take it back anyway. I'm going to put it in the car. We'll go drop it off when we're done with work, and that's it. That should have been it. I went to my mom's purse. I snuck the keys out. I went out to the car, unlocked it, searched through her purse, got the movie, and put it on again. I don't know why I thought I could get away with it. But I wasn't really when you're an addict, you don't think about how you're going to get away with it. You just think about getting your fix. So I hear Mom go, is that Godzilla again? And I just go, yeah. Grounded. Grounded hard. And Godzilla was banned for, I think it was like a month or 2 months. Longest months of my life. Anyway, Biollante is easily like the new top of the new hotness. Not just for the personal memories that I have, the origin story being interesting, a different kind of monster for Godzilla to fight, and technically she beats him, so that's something. And a really cool, like, Little Shop of Horrors type design. Hedorah, the smog monster. A literal bag of crap. I always kind of adored him, though. Just because of how, like, when he's standing up, he's so, like, just shambling and being like, oh, sorry. He's so, like, unintimidating that it's kind of cute for a toxic bag of crap. And if it wasn't for him, we would have never known that Godzilla could fly. So that's an important part of history. I think he should go somewhere in the Hey, I Remember You. Because I feel like that's the perfect monster to encapsulate the, like, hey, it's that guy. But, like, never any real excitement. Yeah, I'll put him right here. He's cuter than Hot Topic Godzilla. This is Mothra from Space Godzilla. One of the goofiest... Obviously, this is from Japan-era robot designs I've ever seen. I am not at all ashamed to put him in the old and busted, just because drill nose, cone hands, weird, like, look at the big old hips. Look at those hips he's got, and then a buzzsaw on his back. Why? It doesn't turn on. It doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. It's just it's embarrassing to look at. Jet Jaguar. Okay. Memes aside, all joking aside, Jet Jaguar is super smoking, sexy, saucy, awesome style. I will not hear anything else about it. He is the best boy. He can do everything and anything, and he's not afraid of anything. Is this supposed to be Gamera? Because it don't look like Gamera. And Gamera's never been in a Godzilla movie, so... Manda is old and busted. Get him out of here. Amanda's old and busted. Get him out of here. Besides, I want to talk about this next one. Mechagodzilla. Arguably the most popular Godzilla villain ever. Some would counter that with Ghidorah. And I think both are right. Both are the right answer. They've both always been there to kind of counter anything Godzilla does. In some way, shape, or form. He's meant to look like Godzilla, and then, oh, Godzilla's acting weird, and then he sheds the appearance to actually reveal. That's one of the things, it always bugs me in fiction when the villain that looks like the hero is doing things that are bad, and everyone mistakes the hero and the villain. Spider-Man and Venom. Like, they could not... One's wearing red and blue, one is wearing black and white. One looks like a person, one is built like a freight truck. Like, how can... Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow. One of them is a blue hedgehog that runs around. The other is a black hedgehog that skates around. Like, I don't understand how these stories are supposed to convince us that there's real threats here. But at least with Mechagodzilla, like, he did look like Godzilla from head to toe. He was acting differently, but he looked the same. Mechagodzilla I always likened to the Heavy Arms Gundam because he is top to toe, like head to toe. He is littered with guns. Like, he's got eye lasers, mouth rockets, chest cannons, finger rockets, kneecap guns, toe bullets. Like, he's absolutely loaded. And he also was responsible for setting the Godzilla suit on fire in one particular take. I like how, like, he looks like he's scowling. I look how mean he looks. Despite the kind of, like, his, like, dad bod design in the middle. Wasn't really hitting the bench too hard back then. I would put him in Shoto's, for sure. He is definitely at least, I don't know, he might be like in the top 3 at least. Oh boy, look at that. That's problematic. I now have to decide which one is a better B rank. Old school Ghidorah or old school Mechagodzilla. Then we have the second Mechagodzilla, which this is the beginning of the Humanity Strikes Back arc for Mechagodzilla's design, where Mechagodzilla was a countermeasure to Godzilla, a very like Pacific Rim kind of like solution to the problem. My issue with him is that he's very smooth and chrome, and he loses a lot of the edge that the evil Mechagodzilla had. Which I guess that's part of the point, right? Like, he's supposed to be on our side. But also, like, man, he gets his ass handed to him. Like, he doesn't even come close to winning. Yeah, that's about right, actually. And then we have Kiryu, which is still just Mechagodzilla that humanity made, but they wrote a new origin story for him where they took the original, the black and white Godzilla, where'd he go? They took this Godzilla here. So this Godzilla dies in the very first movie, and he's reduced to a skeleton. They took that skeleton and wrapped it in, like, a metal sheath Godzilla with like a nuclear core and created an artificial brain for it, hooked it all up, plugged it in, and said, yep, that's good enough to fight for humanity. And it's like, why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. And then it thinks that it is the original Godzilla, and it goes fucking nuts, and it starts shooting rockets and lasers into the city. This is one of my favorite iterations of Mechagodzilla. All that aside, like, the design, too, is one of the best. It's a good balance of the smooth chrome plate part, but he still has a kind of, like, nasty edge to him. You can believe that he could be both a robot savior of mankind and a reincarnation of an indestructible force of nature. He's got to be at least new hotness. And, like, honestly, he might be right there. Or does he actually belong in the smoking, super saucy, sexy, Super Saiyan sexy style? Ooh. Oh, man. I'm liking this. I like this. I like how this is coming together. This works out well. The three. What is that supposed to be? I don't recognize that at all. It looks like Oh, it's Mechagodzilla from Ready Player One. Oh my god, that doesn't count either. That's not Mecha... They called it Mechagodzilla, but it was just a big robot that was shaped like a dinosaur. It didn't do anything that Mechagodzilla... Let's get it out of here. I'm actually putting it below Ibira and Titanosaurus, because this literally is not... No. And you know what, actually? He's still the worst. Monster X. One of the lamest names out of anything on this entire list. Really stupid name. Cool monster. Neat fight. He's actually like a different form of Kaiser Ghidorah, which I believe we put... Yeah, he's right here. We put in the Hey, I Remember You. I feel like he probably goes in there, too. I'm going to put him above Gigan, but below Mothra. Titan Legendary Mothra had kind of a personality, which was nice. Is this a Muto? I thought we... Oh, that's right, there's two of them. There was a boy and a girl. Alright, well, it can just go right next to the other one. Baby Godzilla is the worst. Godzilla says you should learn to fight your own battles, you know. I thought we did destroy it, didn't we? Or is this a different... Oh, it's a different form of... Okay. This was the Destroyah that I was talking about before. They're the same, essentially. But if that's the case, then you should probably go in the Hey, I Remember You. Yeah. 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 Orga. Ugh. Super bland. Weird name to say. You ever say say the word Orga out loud? Like, it's like you're trying to say orca, but you have food in your mouth. Really lazy design. It's like if a UFO just kind of sprouted arms and legs. He's just a big beefy grappler tank thing. At least there was another monster to fight. So I won't put him in the short and shriveled, but I do think that he is technically old and busted. Ooh, King Kong. Okay. This King Kong is old and busted because he's not really a kaiju. He's big by ape standards. But does that mean he's old and busted, necessarily? No, I will put him in the Hey, I Remember You, because he is iconic, and he is responsible for a lot of the special effects that we take for granted in movies now. Remember, the impact these guys have on film, it also is a factor. I'll actually put him above Kaiser, or Monster X. Okay, and now I'm assuming that this is Kong from like the recent movies, like the ones with Brie Larson and Sam Jackson, the Skull Island one. Definitely above the Hey, I Remember You. Definitely more like, I mean, they definitely beefed up his size. Because how else is he going to fight Godzilla if he's not bigger? If it was just his size, I would put him in Shoto. I think because he still retains a personality of some kind, I think he does go in the new hotness. He doesn't quite have the intimidation factor or the record to put him any higher than that, though. These all have been around for a while, and the ones that haven't have, you know, a certain design or a presentation, some other aspects to them that sets them apart, an individuality to them. Kong is very much belongs in the same class as King Caesar, Anguirus, Varan, where they're just big animals to the nth degree, and I appreciate that. That's perfectly fine, but because the others bring something else to the table, that, like, there's no one else like Biollante, right? There's no one else like Destroyah. This is a very unique Godzilla. This Ghidorah being described as like an old school sleeping alien, that an apex predator, like, yeah, New Kong is in the new hotness. I just can't put him at much higher than that. And I don't know who these guys are, so I guess we're done. This is our list. This is our kaiju order. So short shrivel to the left is the folks that just fail on every conceivable level, and I think as I say that's still pretty accurate. But just more cons than pros is old and busted. More cons than pros, whether it's their design, their win record. Just gonna sneak Mothra on the very bottom. I think he's actually the worst out of all of them here. Hey, I Remember You, you know, getting better. More pros than before. We're improving. We're learning. I am kind of iffy. Yeah, I feel better about that. That feels better. Your Kaiser, Ghidorah, Destroyah, Kong. Yeah, that feels fine. Shoto's being like pretty A-list material, like solid, strong all around. They're cool designs. I'm surprised King Caesar is here and that I feel good about it, though. That I did not see that coming. New hotness, I feel good about. Super smoking, saucy, sexy, super saucy style. Like, this is undeniable. You cannot argue this. But I welcome arguments if you have a different order for your kaiju. If you have another way of doing this. If there's a... You can even rename these, I don't care. I would be interested if other people stuck to this same naming convention, but you don't have to, it's fine. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to watch Godzilla vs. Kong. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm sure I'll post up something about my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong after I watch it. It's just kind of a crazy week. But yeah, subscribe if you want more. Like if you liked it. Talk to me if you want to talk. I'm cool with it. All right. I'm gonna watch my movie now. Bye.